All right, so we're going to get underway. Again, if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to go ahead and I'll keep an eye on the chat and pass everything off to pass the questions off to Inti. This is session 3 of our Logic Live sessions, and I'm very happy to bring this to you today. We're going to have some amazing shot breakdowns provided by Inti Martinez from Ambassadors in Amsterdam. He's going to take us through a few of the shots from their new Hyundai Anthem spot, and you're going to see some great technique with projections and tracking, and just some fantastic creative uh, just tips and tricks. It's the perfect kind of shot breakdown. Um, but before we get into that, I wanted to talk about just some of the developments from this week. The first thing this week is we launched a little website called Logik.tv. So many people had asked me for links to download the videos from these live sessions, and most of the times they asked me for the link was in the Facebook comments for the link that I had posted. So we all know that Facebook, as wonderful as it can be for like instant feedback and everything, is not that great when you're trying to find something. So we launched Logik.tv, which has all the content from the Logic Facebook group. So that's where you'll find all the Logic Live stuff. Okay. All the episodes that we do will be posted up there. There's also links to Autodesk tech support, to various websites that we use and frequent for tips and tricks. All the Python and Matchbox websites and repositories are up there. You'll see links to events, and also links to the Logic Fest and One Frame of White, and also a place to check out what's been going on with the user groups around the world. So I'm going to put a call out to everybody who runs a user group to send me your pictures and everything from the various meetings, and we'll make this kind of like a central place for that kind of stuff too. So speaking of Logic Fest, we launched this last week. This is our little contest this year to kind of keep this whole notion of sharing tips and tricks and ideas rolling. So the deal with Logic Fest is sign up, go to oneframeofwhite.com or logic.tv, and right there on the homepage, you can fill out the form to sign up, and then send in a tip or a trick or a technique. I've gotten quite a few of them since we launched this last week, which is fantastic. And I can't wait to see everybody's tips and to share them with everyone. It's just a wonderful thing. This sense of community, and then the best part of this is win. So we're gonna we're gonna let everyone on Logic vote. We'll put up a poll or something for to pick the 5 tips and tricks that they like the best, and whichever 5 get the most votes, those people will each receive a 1-year license of Sapphire and Mocha. That's both of them, courtesy of our friends at Boris Effects. And we're going to announce the winners at this Up Close and Personal with Flame event that our friends at Autodesk are going to be running on Tuesday, April 28th. This is going to be an opportunity for Will Harris, the Flame family product manager, to show off what's new in Flame. And then we're going to go ahead and show off the top 5 Logic Fest entries. So if you go to the events page on logic.tv, you can find the link to sign up for this Up Close and Personal event. And I'll be putting it up on Facebook after this live event. And you're going to see it coming from Autodesk on their channels as well. So stay tuned for that. And let's get down to it. So as I said, our friend Inti Martinez is going to take us through a few of the shots from this amazing this 90-second anthem piece that was put together for Hyundai. He had put a link for it up on YouTube. I'll put the link out, when I post up the video and everything. But let me play this for you now so we can all see it, and then I'll hand the mic over to Inti, who'll take us through a few shots.
How do you dare? You chip away at what's been built. Because you can do better. How do you dare? You chase away wrongs to make room for what's right. You. How do you dare? You stand while they sit. and scream when they are silent. You combine your strengths to reject their weakness. You step up, stand out, and shape a new point of view. How do you dare? The answer is you. This is how you dare. Introducing the all-new Elantra.
All right. And if anybody's got any stuttering or anything, sometimes that happens when we play a full screen video over Zoom. But again, I'll post the link so you'll be able to watch this on your own speed. And want to thank Inti and his team for some incredible work. Inti, just like all of us, Inti's working from home. And so the setups he's going to take us through have been consolidated or modified just to kind of help manage the fact that everybody's got a new reality that they're dealing with here on their home systems. So I'm going to ask Inti to go ahead and share a screen.
See,
there we go. You're coming in loud and clear.
Hey,
hey,
everybody.
All right.
So let me see. I'm still sharing myself, right? Or I'm sharing the flare already.
Can you go ahead and share the flare?
Wait, give me a second. This will take a little bit. There you go. I think I'm going.
Hey,
am I good now?
Go. Lovely.
Okay.
So, Inti, the first question I have for you was, how long did you have to work on this?
Okay.
And
so
how many people were on your team?
Yeah, we had 3 flame artists, and I think we had 2 nuke artists also on the team, and we also have some help from the 3D department in ambassadors. So yeah, we were like a nice team, But compositors, we were only 3 flame artists and 2 nuke artists, and we worked this over 3 weeks.
Wow!
So it was a really, it was a very tight deadline. We had 1 week for editing, and then we start right away jumping on it, and we made it. We were able to do it.
That's great.
So
the first shot you're going to take us through is the phone transition, where we're inside the car and the camera's flying down through that center console there. And why don't you take us through the guts of that there, which is a great like 2D to 3D kind of fly through.
Yes. So I'm just going to play it a little bit here. So it's that little transition there in which we go here and we get into the phone. So first of all, I want to go here to my media hub, and I want to show you a few photographs from that day, because I think it's important for you guys to take a look at how that was shot. So that thing right there is this shot. So you see,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this is definitely, there were not too many things we can do when we shoot this. So from the get-going, this was supposed to be a shot finish on the flame. We never tried to make it on camera. It was, guys, let's try to get it correctly. So yeah, it's this shot over here. This is the bash. This is the setup. It's not that complex, Oops, sorry here. So let's start by looking at the actual shot. So the actual shot, the thing that we shot is this element here. I'm gonna play it. So it's just an in and out pan, of the camera. I always overdo my tracking markers. I think that it's better to have extra tracking markers than no tracking markers at all. So I try to track pretty much everything I do. And then, well, we send this to 3D Track. We clean it up a little bit. And here we use, because we 3D track this, we can definitely extract pretty much every position on every axis, and we can easily take the green away. Basically.
Yeah. So you had the shot tracked in PF track, right? Is that what you said?
We did PF track. I mean, if there's a how do you call it, like an advice I can give to flame artists is learn how to 3D track. You know, I think that if we can have a 3D tracking of a scene, we can definitely make everything with that scene. You know, it will make everything easier for you. So whenever I have one of these shots, I track it. I try to spend like maybe half a day trying to get a really good track on it. And then I bring that into the flame, and I know that eventually I'm going to use that for a number of stuff, you know? So,
yeah, because something that some of the artists out there might not realize is that you can import your 3D track into Action, of course, but you can also import that same track into GMass Tracer for doing all of your roto and things like that. So
yes, exactly. You can import your Tracer now has a camera, so you can import your tracker on that camera. But anyways, let's keep moving forward. So we shot with grids, and when you do the 3D tracking, you get these nice UV maps from PF Track that allows you to take the distortion away from the plates. So you get a good plate here. And then
I think in addition to technical challenges, you're experiencing the other challenges of working at home that we're all going through right now.
I'm sorry, guys, I have to do something here. So anyways, so the interesting thing about this shot is that we saw that it was impossible for us to actually get the what we wanted on this shot. So we needed to reconvert this shot to a 3D environment. So the technique that we used in order to do this was projections with bicubics. So I'm going to show you guys how the scene looks like. If I might, because again, I'm gonna do proxies here for a minute. Second. Car. So if you guys can see here, this is my scene. It's basically full with bicubics, and so in order for us to take a really good look at it, I'm just gonna rotate it a little bit. You can see here what's gonna happen. You know, the whole scene is no more than a few bicubics with projections on it, and we can get this 3D environment that allow us to move the camera in a way. So in order to show you guys how this looks like correctly, just gonna hide these diffuse maps that I have here, and then we're gonna go by hiding it by one. So this is basically the main idea, no? So we try to create this basically 3 or 4 bicubics we have here, I think, you know, and they all, because I'm moving my camera, I don't need to track anything. They are all in the right place. So in order to do that, we use the tracking markers from the 3D scene. You know, here, let me show you what I have my, you know, I have all these tracking markers that come from my 3D scene, and they allow me to see where everything is located in real life. So then you just grab a bicubic and you start by attaching that bicubic to one of these axes, and then you just little by little, you know, you modify the bicubic in order to make this shape. Now the tricks for do that is of course using the orthogonal views, because here I can, you know, just modify this element quite easy. you know. But this is basically the scene that we are setting up for ourselves, right? So let's take this back. Now, because this scene is also, if you take a look at the original footage here, if you take a look at this, you see that there's some light happening inside. You know, the actual footage has some light leaks and things happening. So we cannot just project one frame. We have to project a full footage, the full range of the footage. So that means that we need to sometimes go and clean it up. This is an action that I use to extend one of the pieces of the car, you know. So I'm cheating my way in and extending the car so I can project it later. You know, and this is a paint node that I use also for let's go to frame 48. So here you see I'm just painting this scene a little bit. I don't really need to go that, but a few details have to be painted in order to apply the projection. So once the projections are applied, you know, I use a diffuse map to make those projections. So each one of these bicubics has a diffuse map. And the diffuse map has a texture that is a projection, and I have several cameras that I set up here. And all these cameras are different projectors. They are set up in different parts of the scene. They all come from this original 3D track that you get from PF track. Exactly. So, and then I use that camera as projections on those surfaces. So for instance, this one, I can just bring it back here. Again, once you have a good camera track, this is very easy to achieve. It's a really cheap way to, you don't have to do it 3D. You don't have to do the whole 3D environment on, and it is, as I said, you know, it's really, you know, I can even see some of the other parts on the back, like this stuff here. But it's not necessary because I'm not going to change my point of view. I'm going to keep my camera oriented this way. Now, the good thing is that now
I'm sorry, it's really great. It's great to show, you know, it sometimes can be very imposing for a flame artist who doesn't do this kind of projection and everything, to, you know, the notion of getting this 3D track that's got 10,000 points in it and rebuilding the scene in 3D. But what I think you're showing here that's great is, you know, with 4 or maybe 5, I guess 5 because one's in the background, but 4 or 5 extended bicubics that are just kind of bent and curved as much as they need to be to fake whatever it is you need, you know, the camera move you need to do. It's really not as hard as people might think to enhance a shot like this the way that you've done it. And
well, I think that to me it's really intuitive. You know, once you have the camera move, this really, because in this case we are just rotating the camera. I'm gonna try to screw here, so you see we can actually get, you know, like really close. This is my actual viewport. I'm gonna show you. Let me change the scene here. So this is actually the only scene that we've seen, but there's a whole scene happening before, and it's all fake, you know. It's all a fake. Oops, sorry.
Yep. No, it's great. It's great because you do get that. You get that parallax and you get the perspective change and everything. And
exactly. So what's happening here?
Maybe the technique with the just to explain a little bit with the separate cameras is, you know, typically when you do this, you know, you're projecting the actual camera footage on those extended bicubics, and every one of those essentially is being fed from the point of view of a different camera. You know, you take your camera track, you freeze it on a keyframe on one frame.
I want to show you guys. I think that we can show, if we can show the top views, for instance, or the side views. Let me see if I can show my icons here. Yeah, there's a few cameras, and each camera is on a different position. If you go, I see the F3, you can see my 3 cameras there, these 3 cameras. And I'm using, all these cameras are in a different position. They are all coming from the original tracking from the PF track tracking scene. And basically I'm looking through only one of them. I have to find a way that I can just screw this up, but my iMac is, you see, my iMac is not as good as I want it for this kind of stuff. But you see, I'm only moving one camera.
Yep. And the other cameras basically determine what's projected on those.
And the other cameras are just stuff that is projected on top of the geometry. Now, as you say, I think that the interesting thing about this technique is the fact that it is actually just like cubics, you know, and it is very easy to do once you have your camera track. So let me show something similar on the stair shot. This shot right here. Let me show it in the timeline. So this shot here. Yeah, for this shot we use kind of like a similar technique because that building wasn't possible for her to claim it. So we have to fake the whole building. And we used the same technique. Basically, we shot, let me show you. This is the footage that we shot for this background. So it's just a rotating camera. And the reason we shot it like this is because this will allow me to get some parallax out of it. This will allow me to actually be able to track this shot. So because if I just do a still, I don't have a way to 3D track it later. So it's sometimes easier to shot a plate in motion because you can then take the motion away. Mm-hmm. But you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so I try to shoot my plates with motion. You know, in this case, this plate, I can 3D track that plate, and let me show you here. This is my 3D track. Let me just hide this a little bit. So you see, this is my 3D track from this. Let's see to this camera 1. Yeah. So yeah, the technique here is basically locate one axis that we like, one point that we like, that we know where we want to start this projection. Let's take this point over here. And let's just bring this guy over here. And you just find where that point is and start by setting up that element there. You know, it's the same principle, but in this case, it's just, you know, a wall in this case. You know, so you can set it up like that. I think I have to rotate it a little bit. There you go. Yeah. And then after that, then it's just a matter of duplicating and do the whole rotation like this. And this way you can build yourself a building. You know? Let me see, a little bit there, a little bit down. So that way you can just construct yourself the whole facade of the building.
You know, Inti, there are a bunch of people in the chat here that loved your tip about, you know, shooting moving footage so you get the parallax for later.
Yes,
that's key, because you're right. Otherwise, you're locked into the perspective for each one of these little sides.
Exactly. So I don't have a way for actually getting it. So once you construct this, then you apply your texture, your projection texture, that it could be a moving texture, and then you get the idea is that I'm going to show you So here are all my textures in place. If you see, I actually went ahead and I'm going to show you the top view, this view here. Select where's my, there you go. Okay. So yeah, I said I did quite a lot of faces for this. I think that if we look at it from the, see, I think it's this one. Yeah. So yeah, I even made these buildings here. I made the top part of this is like a cube. You see?
Oh, that's great.
This is all. This is all surface. This not a 3D object here at all. Everything is made with surfaces. And now the good thing is that now I can go back to my original plate, which is this. This is my original plate for this composite. And now I can 3D track this shot, and I can use the camera from this shot in this scene, in the background scene.
In the background that you just built, yeah.
Yes. So now I end up with something like this that actually move at the same perspective and with the same 3D movement than the other shot. So this is a complete made out shot. This is the Matrix trick. They did this on the rooftop. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's nothing but shapes, like literally it's just shapes, and they have projections of moving footage, and even though this looks like a still photo we made it, I think that the 3D that you get with the parallax here is definitely way better in order to
totally.
To
Inti, when I saw the spot and you told me you were going to break down this shot, I thought that you were going to show like that she was wearing a harness and you got rid of the harness. I had no idea looking at the final that you had rebuilt the background and you were going to be showing projections. It's a great technique.
Yeah, I use this quite a lot. Every time that I can definitely project something onto something, I'll do it. Then the key was also pretty interesting to do. This is like a really tough key to do, I would say. And so we tried to break it in several parts in order to make it. So the first one. One of the frame artists did this roto for me. I think Hans did this for me. So we were able to isolate by rotoing out this. We use the 3D tracking method. We import our camera in the tracer, and we were able to get this out. And so
you definitely owe him a bottle of wine for Christmas, if nothing else.
Yeah, because that one was have to be, but again, once you get the 3D tracking, it's not that difficult. Once you get a good track of the scene, you can definitely set an axis right there and it will stick there. So this is a very good technique, the fact that we can now 3D track and bring that camera animation into the GMAS tracer. So yeah, the first thing that we did here was break it down a little bit so we can key it by parts, because it was too complex to do it at once. So first thing we did was, we did a little bit of this peel on it, take the blue away, and then a little color correction to bring a little bit another look on it. And then we did a quick mask. With matte here, this is a very rough matte that we use for the hold up, and this is a more softer matte. Let me show you. Wait, it's right here. This is a softer matte with more detail in the area of the hair and everything, and a lot of the smoke is still present in the texture from the back. And what else? Then we use my friend's Ivar's additive keyer, which is perfect for this kind of stuff. Everything gets really, really there. This is like almost a perfect key with additive keyer. I'm really happy with it. This is one of but you know, this is all Ivar's.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Much love to Ivar.
then, oh, much love to Ivar. So then, in order to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm bringing an extra layer of the woman on top. Oh, so we're comping an extra layer of hair just for having more flesh tone and stuff. And also another interesting trick is that, for instance, this is if you take a look at the edges, they are really geometric. You know, they got really geometric. They are not really natural. So a way to blend it is by doing this, because now remember that you have the 3D camera, so you have the depth, the actual depth of the image. You do have it. You know, I can use this and I can blend my.
Oh, that's great. I was going to ask you what the Y lens blur was for. So you're using the gradient there to create your own 3D, your depth, a Z map, a depth map.
Exactly. I'm using a fake CD map that allows me to actually blend my edges correctly.
That's great.
You see, this is the failure of the shader. It's off now. So in order to get it back, I have to reboot. Ivar, we need to talk about this.
Let's blame Catalina like everybody else.
Yes. So
it's usually the root cause. Hey, Inti, we got a couple of questions in the chat room here. One of them was about the color management nodes that you have in there before the soft keyer. Were you keying in ACES CG?
Well, actually, it depends. Sometimes I like to do all my keys in Alexa White or lock. I definitely always go for the lock. But sometimes it works better in the ACES one. You know, sometimes I just give myself the ability to try a different color, space, and for some reason I try. Actually, I like to do all my comps in linear. So the reason why I was using is because I was using the matchball, the additive keyer here, and I wanted to go using linear into it.
Gotcha.
So that's the only reason why this mat is come out. But it could be at any point at any mat. But it's not something that, you know, it's random at this case, because usually I try first with the Alexa, and then I try sometimes the linear. Sometimes it gives good results. It depends, you know.
Gotcha.
But I try to do, if you take a look at my setup here, I try to do all my work, my compositing work, I try to do it all the time. So all this background scene was done in Alexa, because I'm really not comping anything. I'm just adding, I'm just putting stuff together. But there's really not a comp here. So I keep this in lock. But once I'm here, I'm trying to, all these here is pretty much
is linear
ACES, is linear ACES, you know.
Gotcha.
I really like it. And another interesting thing is that now you have to be aware that now, for instance, there's some tools you cannot use, you know. And if you're going to use them, you need to know what you're going to get.
There was a question in the chat about the UV distort maps, and JT, you answered it. Yeah, those came from from PF Track. I guess they're created as part of the tracking process in PF Track.
Yes, I usually I bring this from PF Track, and I try to to use them. Let me show you the. Actually, this is not. Wait, let me see. There you go. So you have the distortion now, and to redistort after the comp is done.
Mm-hmm.
So what else? Let me see. So okay. So let me go to. I'm sorry that I cannot break it down correctly. I would really love, but it's very difficult for me with the hard with the IMAXing.
Oh no, totally
I
cool.
really wish I could go one by one on these things, but anyways. So I want to show another effect. Let's see. Let's go back to my timeline here, and let's go to the effect from the screaming. This was an interesting effect that we were asked to create sound wave, you know, and
Oh, this is a great one. Talk about like the
so we were trying this effect. I don't know if you guys can see it, of the speakers vibrating and the waves hitting at the character in the center. So this is a nice one too. Let's see if I can show it here on the, so. Okay. So in here, we also did a 3D track because this scene was a complete rebuild. This, I'll show it to you later, but in this case, we also had to do a 3D track. Everything is on the, let me show you the scene. So everything is tracked on the scene. And in this case, we had to build a 3D scene, a 3D background, a 3D ceiling, I'm sorry. But the interesting part about this is these speakers. You know? So I rendered these outputs with these maps. And we use that to do a displacement, a 3D displacement using, show you the, so each image has a displacement map applied, and we can do this. Let me show you. Let me play it to see if it's, oh, it's too slow. So this is a way that we find to make these speakers move, you know. It's taking too much time to.
you're using you're using those rings that you animated as a displacement for the walls.
Yeah,
right?
the rings that we animated are this. This is the funny part. Let's see if we can show you. I'm gonna activate. A second. Let's go here. It's taking too much. So yeah. So what we did here is that we created some rings. I don't want to. Oh, I have to take that out. There you go. So we create some 3D toes that we move, and we made them like real 3D in the real 3D scene. And we rendered those using the new refraction filter. We got this. Let me play it for you guys. I don't know if you can see the effect.
It's a great effect.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, that Quinn just said it perfectly in the chat. It's a good, like a good graphic use of the refraction effect. You know, everybody's always looking to use it, like, you know, with glass and things like that. And this is just a great use of that new tool.
But the nice trick here is that if you now render this with a motion blur, it will break it down in phases, you know. In this case, I'm using a 5 motion blur, so it's a complete different effect. That will give you like a nice interaction here, you know. It will break it down, really interesting. So it's a very graphical effect, I might say.
That's another one that's great too. You know, everybody, usually when you see the individual slices or samples of motion blur, that's like an indication of something wrong. Like, oh, I have to go turn that up. But this is a perfect example of keeping them low, keeping them low to create a look. It's wonderful.
Exactly. This is made totally on purpose in order to create that look. You know, like a ghosty kind of thing. And then what we did was that we increased that with a little bit of the chromatic aberration here, and we matted that with this coming from the 3D, and we get a nice vibration effect. If you see it here, this is the graded version. So I'm gonna just play this one here, the whole shot. I think this one is one of my favorites. I think that it went really nice.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. Great job, man.
I think this one is really nice. And cheers to Peter. He did the. I'm just gonna show you that, guys. That one. This is just for you guys to see how this one was before we got it. Let me just bring this one here. This, of course, this was totally different.
Oh yeah, this is great.
So let me see if we can get it to showcase here. So this is the original shot, so it's a complete, we didn't have anything. So pretty much everything had to be rebuilt, the whole everything.
But Inti, it speaks to what you said at the very beginning of this whole session, was that if you have a good 3D track of a scene, you'll use it.
Yeah, a good 3D tracking fixes everything. You can do whatever you want, because once you have your camera, you can definitely create a lot of stuff on it,
How did you make the reflection on the floor?
We use the old reflection, the camera reflection trick, but I think that the reflection of the guy is just the guy.
Oh yeah, but I mean everything else. That's great.
Yeah, it's using the old reflection trick in which we put a camera on top and the camera down. So
oh, the Philippe one from
yes.
forever ago. Oh, that's great.
Yes, that's the classic one.
Yeah, to everybody in the chat room, I'll find that setup and post it.
It allows you to do a real reflection on 3D way before we had the mesh boxes. Anyways, so let's move to another one because I don't know if we have more time, but this is another that I think that it was really nice done. And I have also a few tricks. This is the tunnel shot. So in the tunnel shot, let me go to my timeline, just showcase it here. In the tunnel shot, we started with this shot in which the guy is inside the car, and then we moved to a shot that is outside the car, So we went through the window, and then we go outside. So for this one, we start with two shots, and let me show you my camera one is this guy here. So this is my original one shot. If you see it there, is the main character, and that's it. This is all I got. I got the interior of the car. As you see, I bring my tracking markers all over the place. I need to have my tracking markers very clear because I need to track this scene perfectly. So once this scene is tracked, everything else goes away, My tracking markers are gone. Because at least the ones on the inside, because I'm not using the ones on the outside because I'm replacing that part. I'm replacing that with this other shot here, which is my main shot. So the interesting thing is that it's not the same guy that is driving. So this guy is the wrong guy. So we have to use the guy from the other shot, from this shot. So yeah, once again, first thing we need to do is to clean up everything, clean up the tracking markers. There's a lot of clean up down here. But eventually we get to a point in which we have no tracking markers, And because we have this camera track, we can now we can bring these two scenes at the same time in my frame. So I have one scene here and the other scene here. I bring my two scenes at the same time into my flame action. Now, because when I track this, I set up the correct measurements in my tracking software, in PF Track in this case. I set up maybe, I remember that I set up maybe like 25 millimeters from here to here, from tracking marker to tracking marker. And if you select the same axis when you are doing your orientation, when you bring them in, they will match automatically. This is very important. If you go to my top view, you can see my two cameras there. You know, this is the camera from the first shot. You know, the only thing this camera does is go in and out, you see? And then you have camera number 2, which is this, that goes, you know, all over the place to the back. So what I'm using here is a third camera. So we have a third camera now that this camera 3 is going to be matched, is going to be made with expressions. And I'm going to actually mix the two cameras into one third camera. So now we're going to have my main camera here, which is this, is going to turn into camera 1. You see, I have them right here at the same time, the 3 cameras. So this is my camera 1, this is my camera 2, and this is my new camera that is an average, a mix of those 2 cameras.
So you
that's
used
the
an
camera.
expression. You used an expression to blend the 2 cameras together mathematically.
Yes, exactly. I'm using an expression to blend the 2 cameras mathematically. So how do I do this? I do this with a control, and a control from the aim, because I control when I mix from one to the other. You know, I'm mixing from frame 70 to frame 80. So I can define how fast is that mix process. If you want to take a look at the expression, I'll show it to you. It's basically cam position 1, cam position 2, minus cam position 1 times my control position X. And so it's a very simple expression, but it will allow you to just move seamless from one camera to the other.
That's amazing, man. I've never seen that done before. That's crazy.
So basically, if you, again, I'm going to try to show you here, you know, how it works. You know, my main camera is this. And my main camera here matches, and then now it goes and tries to match the other one. So it is a nice way of doing it. I think you can see the cameras there. This is the old one. And also I use my bicubics to kind of like do the car. Now in this case, there's another interesting thing. I'm gonna show you how this one, because in the original footage, we have to close this window. This window is open. So there's no glass here. We have to recreate that glass because there's no glass there. Otherwise we cannot, you know. So I went with my iPhone and I shot this. When we went into the tunnel, I shot this. This is a full shot of the actual tunnel, you know.
Oh, wait, Harry Styles?
I'm sorry?
It said Harry Styles from One Direction is going to be performing there? Sorry, it's just that was very, very exciting to me. There we go.
I see. So yes, I shot this with my iPhone, with my camera iPhone, on inside of the tunnel once we were shooting that. And with this, I can get, after some work, I can, you know, make myself a stabilized plate here. And I can get myself some reflection. You know, this that is happening here is whatever is going to be reflected on the car. So if you go back to the main action, you can see how that reflection is there already, you know. Let me show you this guy over here. So, you know, this is one layer that is just in place there. The other layer that we're using is just, if you see it here, is the car with a hole. You go out, you can see that this is not just like a mat of this car, G-mask. So that generates a side of the car with a hole, you know. So through that hole, I can see whatever is on the other side.
Oh, that's great, man.
You know, so if I hide this, you're gonna see it in a second. You know, here, this one is just.
Inti, that's fantastic.
So this is the actual shot of the first shot. This is how the first shot will came into play here. You know, it will just be a little bit there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the quality, guys. This is really slow. This is like. But anyway, I can get each one of these passes out, and eventually, you know, I can put together the transition. Let me see if I can go back. Yeah, here. You know, no, it's not this one. I'm sorry, guys. So here, you see, let me open it. There you go. So here. You know, the change happens here from what I see to what I don't see it anymore.
Yep, that's great. That trick of using of shooting the reflection with your iPhone and then again stabilizing it so you have the parallax baked in without any motion.
Exactly.
It's wonderful, and it's great that you're repeating that theme in the course of this. Inti, two questions for you about the track. The first was, did you do a weighted average between the two tracks as part of that expression?
No, I did not. I did not. And the reason why I did not is because the movement is extremely, how do you call it? I mean, we were in an 80 mile per hour truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the camera is not stable by itself. So if we saw that if we stabilize that shot and we average those movements, it will look fake. You know.
Gotcha.
So we try to leave it at with the bumps and jiggles of the roads. But no, it's just a plain transition from A to B. It's just, you know, at the 50% is just right in between. And we have two controllers. We have one for the actual camera, and we have one for the aim of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So we can play with that a little bit. Also, another trick that I want to make here is that the reason why I like to do my projection using diffuse maps is because diffuse map can be moved later, and this is something that not too many people understand what that means. This guy here is coming from my camera one. So if I had a projection only on my camera one, not by, you know, the old way, like an actual projector node, and I want to move my projection inside the projected object, like I can do here, for instance. I can do this. You know, I can move my projection inside the projected object.
Yep. Separate from the
good thing about Exactly. The good thing about this is that I don't have to move my original camera, because since my camera is already embedded in my diffuse map, I can just move my diffuse map. Because, and the reason why I'm saying this is because in this particular case, my horizon line, they didn't match. Because one car was shot on a crane and the other was shot on the actual road. So my horizontal line didn't match. So we had to actually find a way of moving the projection inside the projected object without moving the actual camera.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I think that
the camera, you're doomed.
Exactly. Once the diffuse map came into play, it was a lifesaver, because we don't have to actually move anything else. We can control everything just by moving this guy here, you know.
That's great. Inti,
Um,
one other question about the tracking was for this. Did you guys do the 3D track? Like, did the flame artist do them in PF track, or do you have a dedicated like tracking or match move artist at Ambassador?
I like to do my tracks every time I have the chance, and I told you because I think it's the only way that you can actually make them like you like to be. You know what I mean? I like to orient my shots. I like to measure my shots. I think that to me it's always been one of the best, you know, like to track my own scenes. At least I try to every time that I have a chance. Pretty much, I think that's the answer. Yes.
Oh, cool.
So if you can do it yourself, it would be amazing. So this after everything happens, of course, there's a lot of painting that needs to be done, you know, and retouching that needs to be done that nobody knows and nobody needs to know about it. But yeah, none of these techniques are perfect. They will always spit something out that it will need to be retouched, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid of just going out it after the comp is done and just, you know, play with it, paint with it. And I think that we have time to take a look at the last one. Do we have time?
Quickly. Yeah, if you just want to show one technique in it.
Yeah, I just want to show a little bit of the last one. The last one is the heaviest one. Is the grill shot. Is the shot in which it's taking a lot of time.
This has been great, man. Everybody in the chat room is loving this.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish I had a better computer at home, but apparently, actually, I see my flare just crash.
Well, like I said, you know, thank you very much, man. Like we've been doing, everybody is adapting to having to work at home, and it's just we feel for you, man. And this has been great.
I'm gonna have to stop it right here.
That's okay. We'll bring you back. Oh, I've always wanted to say that as an announcer. We'll be happy to bring you back. Maybe you'll come back some other time, and we'll do it again.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think that this is it's back. Wait, give me a second.
Sure.
Is it? Yeah, it's back. So yeah, this is the grill shot.
Okay.
And just let's do a really quick one. Let's take a look at it on the timeline. It's basically the shot in which she hits.
Cool.
So yeah, here we did the whole punch and then go through the inside of the motor and go outside in the grill on the car, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in here, the interesting part is that we did everything, or we tried to do all the animation on the flame using a dummy object. Well, no, it wasn't a dummy object, it was actually the actual object. But just want to show the object itself. So if we go to the side view here, you know, we developed our camera and did all the camera movements and everything on the flame first, you know, which is so we track it and we track the scene of the boxer, and then after we track the scene of the boxer, we just put our camera from this scene. This is a full. Oh my God, it's so slow. But yeah, we 3D track this scene, and let me see if I can show you guys a little bit more, but this doesn't let me do it. So if you go to F3, let me see. Yeah, so this is the tracking markers from the boxer scene. And then we just move my camera to all the 3D objects and all the 3D planes. And then we send that back to Maya before Autodesk new send tool. So they send us back EXRs, you know, that we use for, let me see, yeah, there you go. So this is our renders from 3D, and then yeah.
Hey, Inti,
Again, I wish I.
can you
Yes.
expand one of those EXRs so everyone can see how many passes you got back from CG?
Yes. Yeah, we have the whole 5 yards, everything. We don't actually use everything, but our render guys pretty much give us everything, so we can, take the light out. So also I wanted to do a little bit of but I think I don't have time to do the comp of this 3D object here.
Oh yeah, why don't you actually let's do that. You wanted to show the
Yeah, let me see.
with when you have a shot with the light coming in. That was a great thing.
Yeah, let's try to bring this up a little bit here. I'm hoping my iMac won't crash. So yeah, here it is. So a trick that we use, wait, there you go, it's coming in now. Hello. It's incredible because I'm working on proxies and this is still, so if you take a look at our render comps here, this is the original 3D pass that we get from Maya. And even though it gives me the right shadowing and the right everything, it doesn't give me the light that is right there in the scene, So what we do is that we feed the same, let me see, give me 1 minute. I'm trying to make this. So, okay. So from layer 5, we bring this. I'm dying here, Andy. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay, man.
It's just too.
Everybody, you're in the Inti in the chat room. Everybody's telling you it looks great. Don't worry about it. You're doing great.
Yeah,
job.
I have to. I can. So basically.
You told me earlier that a key to doing this trick with getting the lighting incorporated was to comp in linear. For
yes,
this,
yes, what happened is that for this case, for this kind of job, I will actually bring my background on top in a mode that only affects the darks, and there is a way to do that in Flame, but it doesn't work on linear. So the correct way of doing that, not the correct way, but the old way of doing it was by using the max lighting mode. But that doesn't work correctly on the linear space. It's something that doesn't calculate correct. So what we use is that we use an add instead. And we just change this to add. And in linear, you can actually bring the color. It will only affect the color of your object and not the actual shade. So this is very interesting, because you can actually tint with light, and another trick that it will be to use blur here. Let me see if I can get my B working. There you go. Let me see. If I, oh my God. This is painful, guys. It's very, very slow. So I can make a super.
Oh, cool.
You can actually modify whatever you bring in.
And, it doesn't affect the shading. That's fantastic.
It doesn't affect the shading,
yeah,
because it's, and exactly that's what I wanted to show, and it allows me to get these very nice comps. If I move a little bit, but again, this is one of the beauty of the linear space.
Hmm.
And I think that everybody should be eventually working on linear. I hope so. And you can definitely see a few of the, for instance, there you can see how this light is completely. I'm going to show you the before and after.
Yeah, it's completely incorporated. You're not trying to
Exactly.
guess what it should be. That you're letting math do its wonders.
Exactly. You just put the lights on top as an
Yep.
additive mode, and if you are in linear space, it will work different. It will make it look better. So yeah.
Underneath that layer,
Yes.
you had a something called primary. What was that?
Underneath this layer? Oh,
Yeah,
this
right
one.
there.
Well, this is basically a full. This is a diffuse map.
Oh, okay. It's just the diffuse map. Okay, gotcha. Just wanted to ask.
Yeah, just a diffuse map. What happened is that the name. I don't know why this name came. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes
Oh,
it's blue.
when you added the you had the matchbox in
yeah.
action. It
This is
requires
just a
primary.
diffuse.
Oh yeah, diffuse
Yeah.
map. Okay, cool. That's a great.
Okay, guys. So I really hope this was fun. At least I will take any questions of anybody. I really will do it.
Does anyone have any questions for Inti? Was there a lot of feedback from clients in those 3 weeks?
The client, the agency was really nice. They didn't change that many things. I think we spent the most time trying to figure out the speed of the camera movements. How we're going to go from one scene to the other was what was the most. The render was. Oh, I see the questions here. Yes, Garrido. Yes, we tried to do everything in ACCG, and in this particular case, every time we did a comp, we use ACCG, and only in maybe a couple of shots we kept Alexa lock, but we tried to do everything on ACCG. I love it. I think it's really nice.
Cool.
Wow, I don't.
Yeah, I think does anybody have any other questions for Inti? If not, feel free to send a message on Logik or via Logik TV, or
yes,
send it
you
to
can
me
definitely hit me out and ask me about anything. And
that's great. Thanks so much, Inti. Well, that's it, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here for another exciting episode of Logik Live. Want to remind everyone our upcoming Logik Live sessions next Sunday. We have a Nuke for Flame Artists with Christoph. And then after that, on April 19th, CG Compositing in Flame and Color Management with John Ashby. And finally, on April 26th, I'm going to take everybody through writing Python scripts for Flame from the very, very beginning to the just about intermediate, which pretty much covers my skill set with that. And again, check out Logik TV. I'm going to post this recording up there as soon as it's ready. And that's it, everybody. Oh, Logik Fest, if you have those suggestions, if you want to share something with everybody, please sign up for Logik Fest and let's keep this party going. That's it, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much. And have a great week, everybody.